of just the females and the offspring. And in fact, if you look 12 o'clock, way out there, just to the left of the big baobab tree, you can see some movement. That looks to be a cow elephant, so let's go see if we can get a closer look.
Going into the water.
Yeah, it's not too deep.
Be careful of the duck.
Ooh, coming up on our left, we have found a flock of greater flamingos hanging out in this lagoon here. Now these are not called greater flamingos because they are better than other flamingos necessarily, but because they are bigger. The tallest flamingo species. Back in 2015, due to poaching for their horns, there's an estimated less than 5,000 of these beautiful animals left in the whole wide world. Thankfully, since then, the numbers have almost doubled due to conservation efforts, so they're starting to do a little bit better. Lions will spend 18 to 20 hours out of the day just kind of resting like this. They're going to be most active around nighttime, so we're coming up on their time to be awake. Usually they'll be bedded down under a bush somewhere, keeping still during the day. They'll be more active at night.
What's their name again?
You also see these tan-colored antelope off to our right with the big ears. Those are called kudu. Now we can tell those are female kudu because they lack horns. Similar to deer, only males of the species have headgear. And the horns of male kudu can get very long and impressive, up to about 6 feet long in fact. They'll spiral beautifully backwards. I believe up on the animal spotting guide above you on the left and right edges, there's a depiction of what the male kudu looks like with his magnificent horns. But that is going to do it for us in the interior forest. Now we're heading off to the next part of the reserve. It's called the Safi River Valley. Most animals down this way will be either aquatic or semi-aquatic. So let's head down to the water's edge and check it out. All right, so first things I'm seeing are some big white birds. Looks like they're nesting down on the island in the middle of the river. These are called pink-backed pelicans. Now they get the name pink-back from the pink coloration they'll get on their backs during the mating season. These are what's called a colonial nesting bird species, which means, as you can see, when they build their nests like that, they're going to do them all in one little spot, kind of all on top of one another. The colonies have been known to get up to 500 birds total, or roughly 250 nests. Some of the largest colonies, we estimate about 2 birds per nest. Oh my goodness, some hippos off the left side here. Submerged under the surface of the water so they can keep cool. But this canyon is kind of shaded on the side, so this hippo is able to come out and enjoy some time on land without having to worry about overheating too quickly. Sprinter on board. I don't recommend any of us try to get in the foot race with the hippo. We're going to keep it rolling. Got the beautiful Safi waterfalls off to our left-hand side, with certain exceptional individuals having been recorded at over 20 feet long, if you can believe that. That puts this species in contention to be one of the largest reptiles in the world, and certainly the largest reptile. Nile crocodiles are going to average around 16 feet long, with certain exceptional individuals having been recorded at over 20 feet long, if you can believe that. That puts this species in contention to be one of the largest reptiles in the world, and certainly the largest reptile in Africa. Now, they're what's called an ectothermic animal. This means they have to rely on their environment to control their body temperature. So, for example, if they get too hot, they're going to have to find a place to cool off, like in the shade or in the water. If they get too cold, they got to find a place to warm up, like a nice hot rock in the sun, maybe a nice warm sandbank. And the Swahili word for crocodile is mamba. The bulls are typically solitary, whereas the females, the cows, they prefer to live in groups of just females and the offspring. We're going to keep it rolling this way. We are still in elephant country, so we still have the chance to find some more potentially. In the meantime, we found a flock of greater flamingos coming up on the left-hand side of the lagoon. These are not called greater flamingos because they are better than other flamingos necessarily, but because they are bigger. This is the tallest flamingo species. Coincidentally, they're also the palest pink of any flamingo species. They get this coloration from the food they eat, which is very rich in a vitamin called beta-carotene. This beta-carotene in their diet over time is going to act like a pigment, cause them to turn this beautiful taxonomic family, distinct from both canines and felines, called Hyenidae, which is kind of cool. Coming up on our left, we got a really regal-looking antelope species that lives here on the reserve. They're dark brown in color. These are called sable antelope. Now, sable antelope are special to us here in the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. We actually chose them as our emblem or logo. That's because they symbolize bravery to us. If confronted with a predator, 9 times out of 10, these sable antelope are going to choose to stand and fight rather than run away. They can use those long, backwards-facing horns they have to keep any would-be predators off their backs. Coming up on our right-hand side, this is my favorite antelope species on the reserve. Oh, there's one on the left, too. I almost missed him. These, like I said, these are my favorite on the reserve. That's because they are the biggest. These are elands. She's getting a scratch on that bush right there. But big male elands, like the one way over there to the left, are gonna, when they're fully grown, get up to about 6 feet tall at the shoulder and weigh about a ton. That is enormous for antelope species. Most are much, much smaller. This giraffe is coming our way, so we'll start talking about him. Giraffes are, of course, the tallest animals in the world. At their tallest, looking at around 18 to 20 feet tall. But despite having such long necks, giraffes have got the same amount of bones in there as you and I. Giraffes have 7 neck vertebrae. They're just a whole lot longer than ours. Giraffes also have one of the highest blood pressures of any animal, which they need in order to pump a whole bunch of blood from their hearts up their long necks to the tops of their heads against gravity. Now, speaking of the tops of their heads, take a look up there. You see those 2 knobs? Those are the ossicones I was talking about a little bit earlier when we saw the okapi. It's one of the traits that giraffes and okapi share in common. Now, these ossicones are not true horns. Briefly back when we saw the okapi, one of the traits giraffes and okapi share. If you look really carefully, you can see a baby giraffe in there. Now, that baby was born out here, I want to say about 8 months ago. It was born already being 6 feet tall, if you can believe that. We're heading into Tembo country, I hope, on the other side of this ridge. Tembo is the Swahili word for elephant. Elephants are, the African bush elephant specifically is the largest terrestrial animal in the world. The biggest ever recorded was a bull or male, stood about 13 feet tall at the shoulder, weighing 13,500 pounds. But for such large animals, if I'm not mistaken, that is the largest elephant that lives in this reserve. It's a big old bull. We estimate him to be up over 12,000 pounds. Now, his enormous size is a good hint that he is a bull. Bull elephants are much bigger than the females or cows. Absolutely enormous. It's actually one of the ways we can tell he is a boy or bull elephant, is because he is so big. The girls, or the female elephants, are a lot smaller. Another reason we can tell this is a bull elephant is because he is here by himself. Bull elephants are typically solitary like this, whereas the female or cow elephants prefer to live in groups of just the females and the offspring. And in fact, if you look at 12 o'clock, way up there, just to the left of the big baobab tree, you can see some movement. That looks to be a cow elephant, so let's go see if we can get a closer look.
Going into the water.
Yeah, it's not too deep. Oh, coming up on our left, we have found a flock of greater flamingos hanging out in this lagoon here. And now these are not called greater flamingos because they are better than other flamingos necessarily, but because they are bigger. The tallest flamingo species. Coincidentally, they're also the palest pink of any flamingo species. They get this coloration from the food they eat, which is very rich in a vitamin called beta-carotene. Beta-carotene in their diet over time acts like a pigment, causing them to turn this beautiful pink color. Oh yeah, there's a herd of female elephants way out there in the distance. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer. So as we got these big red rocks on our left-hand side. In just a second, as we're passing them,